All right, y'all, we're going to try to do the book club thing again today. I was too tired to get on here and pull tarot cards. But basically, the only thing, if you haven't watched the first one, you can go back. I have a playlist now for the name of the book, and that way everybody can watch the playlist in the order, like if you come in late or something like that. Hey Ann, hey Matt. So anyway, if you miss a live or whatever, you can just go back to the playlist on my channel, and it's public, and I'm just going to start numbering them in order, so that way everybody don't have to be here when I'm live. Yes, you did. You made it. And we're going to try this again. I still ain't got the camera thing figured out, but we just winging it until I do. But the first thing we only did was the, let's see, I think we did the forward thing before. Yeah, all we read was this little forward thing, and it was where someone was basically talking about how this book helped them. And then now this is where Joe Dispenza starts talking. So this is just the introduction. Okay, so it says the greatest habit you can ever break is the habit of being yourself. When I think about all the books on creating the life we desire, I realize that many of us are still looking for approaches that are grounded in sound scientific evidence, methods that truly work. But already new research into the brain and body, the mind and consciousness, and a quantum leap in our understanding of physics is suggesting expanded possibilities on how to move toward what we innately know is our real potential. As a practicing chiropractor who runs a busy integrated health clinic, which is why I wanted to read this book, because he's actually a practicing medical doctor, right? And as an educator in the fields of neuroscience, brain function, biology, and brain chemistry, I've been privileged to be at the forefront of some of this research. Not just by studying the fields mentioned above, but also by observing the effects of this new science, once applied by common people like you and me. That's the moment when the possibilities of this new science becomes reality. As a consequence, I have witnessed some remarkable changes in individuals' health and quality of life when they truly change their minds. Over the last several years, I have had the opportunity to interview a host of people who overcame significant health conditions that were considered either terminal or permanent. Y'all see that? Like, this guy who is a medical practitioner has witnessed people overcome significant health conditions that were considered terminal or permanent. And it says on here, per the contemporary model of medicine, these recoveries were labeled spontaneous remissions. Okay, let's see if we can get it over here. If you're using my camera for the page follow along, I know it sucks, so you might have to get you one online or something. That's about it. Hey, Simplify. All right, however, upon my extensive examination of their inner journeys, it became apparent to me that there was a strong element of mind involved, and their physical changes were not so spontaneous after all. This discovery furthered my postgraduate studies in brain imaging, neuroplasticity, epigenetics, and psychoneuroimmunology. I simply figured that something had to be happening in the brain and body that could be zeroed in on and then replicated. In this book, oh shit, I lost my place. Where did it go? In this book, I want to share some of what I learned along the way and show you by exploring how mind and matter are interrelated, how you can apply these principles not only to your body but to any aspect of your life. Go beyond knowing to knowing how. And see, that's the thing for me. I've read plenty of books, but they never give me concrete instructions on what I can do over a period of time in a methodical way to make a concrete difference. So that's why I literally picked this book. But it says, Go Beyond Knowing to Knowing How. Many readers of my first book, Evolve Your Brain, The Science of Changing Your Mind, voiced the same honest and heartfelt request, along with a fair amount of positive feedback, such as the person who wrote, I really liked your book. I read it twice. It had lots of science and was very thorough and inspiring. But can you tell me how to do it? How do I evolve my brain? Exactly, I'm with that person. In response, I began teaching a workshop series on the practical steps anyone can take to make changes at the level of mind and body that will lead to lasting results. Consequently, I have seen people experience unexplainable healings, release old mental and emotional wounds, resolve so-called impossible difficulties, create new opportunities, and experience wonderful wealth, just to name a few. You will meet some of those people in these pages. It's not necessary that you read my first book to digest the material in this one. Thank the Lord, because I ain't read the first one. Thank you, Anne. But if you have been exposed to my work, I wrote Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself to serve as a practical how-to companion to evolve your brain. It is my earnest objective to make this new book simple and easy to understand. There will be times, though, that I will have to give you bits of knowledge to act as the forerunner to a concept I want to develop. The purpose is to build a realistic working model of personal transformation that will help you understand how we can change. Breaking the habit of being yourself is a product of one of my passions, a sincere effort to demystify the mystical so that every person understands that we have within our reach all we need to make significant changes in our lives. This is a time in history when not only do we want to know, but we want to know how. How do we apply and personalize both emerging scientific concepts and age-old wisdom to succeed at living a more enriched life? When you and I can connect the dots of what science is discovering about the nature of reality, and when we give ourselves permission to apply those principles in our day-to-day existence, then each of us becomes both a mystic and a scientist in our own life. So I invite you to experiment with everything that you learn in the book and to objectively observe the results. He's basically saying, like, take out any past beliefs you have before you read it. Open your brain up to the point, or your mind up to the point, that you're not going to take anything that you learned from someone else, a way of life, a set of belief systems. You're just going to be like a Queen of Swords or a King of Swords. You're just going to observe the data that is shown to you in your reality by applying whatever he's teaching you, I guess. What I mean is that if you make the effort to change your inner world of thoughts and feelings, your external environment should begin to give you feedback to show you that your mind has had an effect on your outer world. Why else would you do it? And I started reading ahead earlier today, and I highlighted this because to me, that's where I get hung up in the spiritual community. I'm not saying it's not great. There's good people and bad people in every community. But there's a lot of people out there that just get on the hamster wheel of life and they go in circles. They talk about being, that person in the spiritual community that knows how to manifest, and they talk about knowing how to grow and evolve and change and become a different version of themselves. However, if you look at their reality and you knew the person 10 years prior, they are doing the same repeated patterns over and over and getting the same results. And I don't want to be that person. Even me coming on here and reading cards for y'all, I tell you to take it for entertainment purposes, don't take it too serious. But at the same time, I don't want to keep coming on YouTube if I'm not growing. If I'm not creating results from the advice that I give you, then I have no business being on this platform, because I need to practice what I preach, in other words. So I felt like this would help me, and just by default, if I'm reading it, maybe somebody else can get something. But you can't just be in the same spot forever doing the same things and not growing and becoming a new version if you're going to give other people advice. Simplify over there talking about the Goonies. Who loves the Goonies? I love the Goonies. Thank you, Matt. I hope so. All right. If you take intellectual information that you learn as a philosophy and then initiate that knowledge into your life by applying it enough times until you master it, you will ultimately move from being a philosopher to an initiate to a master. Stay tuned. There is sound scientific evidence that this is possible. I do ask you up front to keep an open mind so that we can build step by step the concepts I outline in this book. All of this information is for you to do something with. Otherwise, it's just good dinner conversation. So basically, he's saying, I want to show you how to do something that you can put into practice, not just read it and digest the information and then go on. Something that you can do to change an outer part of your reality. In your outer world, you'll be able to point to results by practicing whatever the hell he's about to tell us. Once you can open your mind to the way things really are and let go of your conditioned beliefs with which you are accustomed to framing reality, you should see the fruit of your efforts. That is my wish for you. Goonies say, never say die. We grow to do or die. He's on it today. Okay, shut up, Marley. The information in these pages is there to inspire you to prove to yourself that you are a divine creator. We should never wait for science to give us permission to do the uncommon. But what I will say, I was reading this earlier today, and this is what come to my brain when I read that. Yeah, we should never wait for science to give us permission, right? Because, science ain't always got it all together. But knowing the scientific evidence of why spirituality is the way it is will help build my faith in knowing why it works the way it does. I mean, we're all human and we like evidence. Our ego likes evidence, All right, if we do wait, then we are turning science into another religion. We should be brave enough to contemplate our lives, do what we thought was outside the box, and do it repeatedly. When we do that, we are on our way to a greater level of personal power. This pink page is where I got to, so that's why it's there. That's my bookmark. True empowerment comes when we start to look deeply at our beliefs. We may find their roots in the conditioning of religion, culture, society, education, family, the media, and even our genes. So literally, this was interesting to me too. It says, genes that are being imprinted by the sensory experiences of our current lives as well as untold generations. So that means certain habits and beliefs and all the this, that, and the third is ingrained in our DNA and passed down from human generation to human generation. That blows my mind. Then we weigh those old ideas against some new paradigms that may serve us better. Times are changing. As individuals awaken to a greater reality, we are part of a much larger sea of change. Thank you, Matt. Our current systems and models of reality are breaking down, and it is time for something new to emerge. Across the board, our models for politics, economics, religion, science, education, medicine, and our relationship with the environment are all showing a different landscape than just 10 years ago, and that's very true. The faster it changes, I say. Letting go of the outmoded and embracing the new sounds easy, but as I pointed out in Evolve Your Brain, much of what we have learned and experienced has been incorporated into our biological self and we wear it like a garment. Honestly, I do this. Every human pretty much on the planet probably does this to some extent. We wear our identity like a garment as well. So you take a person who was deeply traumatized during their early 20s, right? They were deeply traumatized from a relationship. That's just a random example. If they were so traumatized that it was like mind and life altering for them, you will have a hard time getting them to let go of that experience. I'm not saying they should, forget it, but what I'm saying is everything about their identity will be tied into that trauma. Their failures, they'll tie it back to that if they're in victim mentality. So he's basically saying that, we wear our identity like a garment, and that is nothing more than our beliefs, our thoughts, and everything that we do in a habitual way on a day-to-day basis. But we also know that what is true today might not be true tomorrow. Just as we have come to question our perception of atoms as solid pieces of matter, reality and our interaction with it is a progression of ideas and beliefs. We also know that to leave the familiar life that we have grown accustomed to, and familiar is not always good, even if it's something that's negative. Familiar is what we cling to as humans because our ego likes to know the future. It likes to be able to predict what's happening next. And whenever we get out of our familiar comfort zone, the ego starts to send these danger signals. Even if it's an improvement, even if it's a good thing you're going towards, it's still going to feel scary. It's like you have to accept that to start with. Even if you're doing something as simple as changing the way you're thinking, you're affirming something that doesn't feel comfortable over and over. That's even going to feel out of your comfort zone. And your ego is going to tell you you're stupid for doing that. Stop doing that and do what you already know is working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why do you always do that? You're stupid. This makes no sense. That's the kind of stuff. And we have to detach from our ego and don't identify with it so much. Because I catch myself doing it all the time. Yes, we do, Ann. We be holding on tight. Okay. We also know that to leave the familiar life that we have grown accustomed to and waltz into something new is like a salmon swimming upstream. It takes effort, and frankly, it's uncomfortable. I highlighted that because that's the thing that people have to remember. There's no amount of classes you can take. There's no amount of conferences you can go to. There's no amount of Joe Dispenza retreats you can pay for and teachers and whatever without knowing that at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's going to take effort and it's going to be uncomfortable. And if you can be okay with that part, the rest I feel like will work. But you got to lean into it being uncomfortable. Hey, Miss Bikini. And to top it off, ridicule, marginalization, opposition, and I don't know that word, denigration from those who cling to what they know greet us along the way. He's saying the people that are still in their comfort zone could ridicule you at times whenever you try to do anything outside of the box. And probably most people in here, they know what that feels like, because even doing something simple as getting a tarot reading can get you chastised in the world at times from some people. So, who with such an unconventional bent is willing to meet such adversity in the name of some concept they cannot embrace with their senses, yet which is alive in their minds. How many times in history have individuals who were considered heretics and fools and thus took the abuse of the unexceptional emerged as genius, saints, or masters? Will you dare to be an original? So he's saying, how many times in history do we look back And during the time that person was alive, they were ridiculed for being different outside of the box. And later on, as we study that person's life in the future, we recognize that person as a heroine of their time. They were ahead of their time. That's all it was. So by you doing things outside of the box in terms of trying to change your mind, change your inner world so that it'll make your outer world change. And we about to figure out how the heck to do that when I just read this to y'all over time, even if it takes us a whole year, because I know I have a big mouth and I talk a lot, but we're going to get through this whole book. I don't care how long it takes. Every time I'm too tired to go live, we going to do this book because I'm going to get through it if it kills us all. All right. It says change as a choice instead of a reaction. It seems that human nature is such that we balk at changing until things get really bad and we're so uncomfortable that we can no longer go on with business as usual. This is as true for an individual as it is for a society. We wait for a crisis, trauma, loss, disease, and tragedy before we get down to looking at who we are, what we're doing, how we're living, what we're feeling, and what we believe or know in order to embrace true change. Often it takes a worst case scenario for us to begin making changes that support our health, relationships, career, family, and future. My message is, why wait? Hey, Andy. We can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering, or we can evolve in a state of joy and inspiration. Most embrace the former. So he's basically saying most of the people that do change their mind enough to make it stick and change their outer world, it's people that have been through something so bad that they're backed into a corner by the universe and they have to change. Most of the time, we don't do it voluntarily because it's uncomfortable and it takes effort. So I totally agree with that. I'm that person. I'm not going to quit, chewing that sugar-filled bubble gum and eating that candy till I have to go to the dentist and get a tooth pulled or a filling. I'm just giving you an example of the way I am in terms of my behavior. To go with the latter, we just have to make up our minds that change will probably entail a bit of discomfort, some inconvenience, a break from a predictable routine, and a period of not knowing. Most of us are already familiar with the temporary discomfort of not knowing. We've stumbled through our early efforts to read until this skill became second nature. When we first practiced the violin or the drums, our parents, hey Empress, our parents wished they could send us to a soundproofed room. Pity the hapless patient who has his blood drawn by a medical student who has the requisite knowledge but still lacks the finesse that she will only gain through practice. Absorbing knowledge and then gaining practical experience by applying what you learned until a particular skill became ingrained in you is probably how you acquired most of the abilities that now feel like a part of your being and knowingness. In much the same way, learning how to change your life involves knowledge and the application of that knowledge. See, that's where I get hung up. I get all the knowledge in the world and then I struggle applying it. That is why this book is divided into 3 sections. Throughout parts 1 and 2, I will build ideas in a sequence, forming a bigger and broader model of understanding for you to personalize. If some ideas seem repetitive, they are there to remind you about something that I don't want you to forget. Repetition reinforces the circuits. This right here is why I always say robotic affirmations if you don't know what to start with to change your inner world, because I didn't know what to start with, so that's why I did it. I knew from reading different stuff with Joe Dispenza and watching him that repetition is key to anything, and it makes logical sense to me. Like, I can understand why repetition would work, but he's telling you why right here. Repetition reinforces the circuits in your brain and forms more neural connections. so that in your weakest hour you don't talk yourself out of greatness. When you ease into part 3 of the book with a sound knowledge base, you can experience for yourself the truth of what you learned earlier. And I feel you. That's why I wanted to see this, because he's so grounded. Like, if you listen to this man talk, I'm not saying he's the end all be all and he knows everything and I agree with everything he says, but he is a very grounded person and he has like the science to back up how to change your inner world and create an outer experience. So that's what got my attention with him. Let's see. This is going to go over all the chapters, I guess. So I guess we'll know. Chapter 8 is where the meditation comes. I want to know about what he says about how to meditate. That's about to drive me crazy to know. So all of these, y'all, are just telling us the titles of the chapters. So I'm skipping that because it's just an introduction. It's literally breaking out the chapters, but we're going to read the chapters anyway. Let's see how many pages this is. I would like to read a whole chapter at once, but that just ain't happening. Because I'm so slow at this. Like, I read the freaking introduction and it's been almost 30 minutes. If anybody gets tired, they can come back and pause it, I'm guessing. All right, let's see what this says. Chapter 1, The Quantum You. Early physicists divided the world into matter and thought, and later matter and energy. Each member of those pairs was considered to be entirely separate from the other, but they are not. Nevertheless, this mind or matter duality shaped our early worldview. That reality was essentially predetermined, and that people could do little to change things through their own actions, let alone their thoughts. So it's been always believed, at least in modern day, that your thoughts don't have any effect on your reality, you know? Fast forward to our current understanding that we are part of a vast, invisible field of energy which contains all possible realities and responds to our thoughts and our feelings. I know that either your thoughts or your feelings, one of the two, has an electric charge, and then the other one has a magnetic charge, and it creates an electromagnetic field. And whenever you're in the energy of, just say, happiness, I'm keeping it simple because I'm not real familiar with it, but, you know, we consider happiness as good, right? Our electromagnetic field expands outside of us further based on scientific research. Well, whenever you're in a sad state, your electric charge and your magnetic charge is not as strong, or it makes your field, you know, smaller. So you have less effect on your outer reality. So less effort will create more results if you're in a higher frequency, if you're in a happy or good state of being, basically. Let's face it, none of us are perfect. Whether we'd like to make some change to our physical self, emotional self, or spiritual self, we all have the same desire. We want to live life an idealized version of who we think and believe we can be. When we stand in front of the mirror and look at our love handles, we don't just see that slightly too pudgy vision reflected in the glass. We also see, depending on our mood that day, a slimmer, fitter version of ourselves, or a heavier, chunkier version. Which image is actually real? When we lie in bed at night reviewing our day and our efforts to be a more tolerant, less reactive person, we don't just see the parent who lashed out at our child for failing to quietly and quickly submit to a simple request. We envision either an angelic self whose patience was stretched like an innocent victim on the rack, or a hideous ogre laying waste to a child's self-esteem. Which of those images is real? So basically, he's questioning, like, you see one or the other as you lay in bed at night, but it's based on your own perspective. The answer is all of them are real, and not just those extremes, but an infinite spectrum of images ranging from positive to negative. How can that be? Exactly, and that's so cool to me. When your brain like sits there for a minute and thinks about that, they're all real. They're all possible. Every possibility exists in the quantum field, and based on what we are choosing to focus on is the timeline we are kind of like headed down. That blows my mind still to this day. For you to better understand why none of those versions of self is more or less real than the others, I'm going to have to shatter that outmoded understanding about the fundamental nature of reality and replace it with a new one. That sounds like a major undertaking, and in some ways it is, but I also know this. The most likely reason why you were drawn to this book is that your past efforts to make any lasting change in your life have fallen short of the ideal version of yourself that you imagined. And why those efforts failed has more to do with your beliefs about why your life is the way it is than anything else, including a perceived lack of your will, time, courage, or imagination. Your perception of lack, ultimately, this person is saying, has nothing to do with your failed attempts. So if you perceive you don't have enough money to make the change, you don't have enough time to make the change, you don't have enough endurance to make the change, all of those are just perceptions of lack, and they're actually not directly correlated, which is hard for me to believe, but that's the way it feels in the moment when we're seeing it, you know? Always, in order to change, we have to come to a new understanding of self and the world so that we can embrace new knowledge and have new experiences. That is what reading this book will do for you. Your past shortfalls can be traced at their root to one major oversight. You haven't committed yourself to living by the truth that your thoughts have consequences so great that they create your reality. Where is my highlighter when I need it? I'm a highlighting little dork. So I have to read that one more time. Your thoughts have consequences so great that they create your reality. And the thing is this: no one knows the true thoughts that go inside of your brain. I'm talking about people outside of you. They may see you as someone who's happy and good, go lucky kind of person who's confident, who has their shit together. But only you can know what are those thought patterns you got going on in your brain all day. And only you can take a conscious effort to change them. The fact is that we are all blessed. All we can all reap the benefits of our constructive efforts. We don't have to settle for our present reality. We can create a new one whenever we choose to. We all have that ability. Because for better or worse, our thoughts do influence our life. Hey, Marky. I'm sure you've heard that before, but I wonder whether most people really believe this statement on a gut level. Exactly. It's hard to believe that on a gut level, that your thoughts help mold your reality. If we truly embrace the notion that our thoughts produce tangible effects in our lives, wouldn't we strive to never let one thought slip by us that we didn't want to experience? I literally have started doing this like automatically. When I start to think shitty thoughts, I will think, undo that thought, Marley. That will be the next thought in my brain. I do try to pay attention to my thoughts. I think it to myself. I don't tell people out loud, so at least I don't go around telling people at work I need to undo my thoughts. Lord help me, Jesus. And wouldn't we focus our attention on what we want instead of continually obsessing about our problems? Think about it. If you really knew that this principle were true, would you ever miss a day in intentionally creating your desired destiny? He's talking about, would you ever miss a day in trying to monitor your thoughts more and not just let them run by themselves on autopilot, basically? All right, I'm going to read the rest of this page, and then my lips are out of gas. Y'all know what I'm saying? But I do love y'all. And thank y'all for listening to me for 30 straight minutes. All right, to change your life, change your beliefs about the nature of reality. I hope this book will shift your view of how our world operates, convince you that you are more powerful than you knew, and inspire you to demonstrate the understanding that what you think and believe has a profound effect on your world. Until you break from the way you see your present reality, any change in your life will always be haphazard and transitory. You have to overhaul your thinking about why things happen in order to produce enduring and desired outcomes. To do that, you'll need to be open to a new interpretation of what is actually real and true. To help you shift into this mode of thought and begin to create a life of your choosing, I have to begin with a bit of cosmology, which is the study of the structure and dynamics of the universe. But don't be alarmed, we're merely going to skim through. The nature of reality 101 and how some of our views about it have evolved to reach our present understanding. All of this is to explain, of necessity, in a brief and simple way, how it is possible that your thoughts shape your destiny. This chapter just might test your willingness to abandon ideas that have, in a sense, been programmed into you for many years on a conscious and subconscious level. Once you gain a new conception of the fundamental forces and elements that constitute reality, it won't fit into that old perception in which the linear and the orderly rule the day. Be prepared to experience some fundamental shifts in your understanding. You feel me, Anne? I'm going to set this right here so I won't lose my spot when I get off here with y'all. Did y'all have a good day? I'm supposed to be off Friday. I have a day off. So I think I'm going to come on here and do Tarot Friday. Work's been beating me up. So therefore, I was too tired to come on here and flip any cards. I never thought cards would make you tired until I started flipping them little bastards. I feel like I'm telling y'all a secret that y'all won't tell nobody, but I'm actually online saying that. Oh, I feel like I'm hanging out in my room with my friend and they ain't gonna tell. Hopefully anybody I don't know that well won't get to this part of the video. You do, Miss Bikini? Me too. My nap, oh my gosh. Yesterday, I had to finish up like some closing out for bookkeeping for January at my job. And I was like constantly doing it all day long. And when I came home, I didn't even realize how tired I was. Emily's new glasses were finally ready. And my mom picked them up from the eye doctor because she works in the same town as the eye doctor. So I didn't have to take off early. So she doesn't get home until 6 p.m. and I get off at 5. But since I had to wait on her uptown, I worked a little bit late to like maybe go by there and get the glasses. So by the time I got the glasses, we went and got some Chinese plates and we came home. By the time I ate, it's probably like 7:15. And I told myself I was going to lay on the couch for a minute because Emily takes a shower at 7:30 and then I'll take one after her, right? So I lay on the couch and the next thing I remember was like a hazy feeling. And it's because I got woke up by her putting my blanket on me at like 9. So then I stumbled to my bed and I woke back up at 4:30 freaking a.m. I just went out like I was done. Do y'all ever have those days where you just crash the hell out? Totally crash. And you don't even realize how tired you are till you get still? Me too, Ann. I've been doing better with the takeout thing and actually been cooking. But yesterday we got out late, so You do it too, Miss Bikini? I used to be terrible. We would eat out every day, but that's something I've improved. We don't really eat out hardly ever. They be putting stuff in the food, be making me paranoid about eating it too. Like fast food and stuff. I saw this thing on, I don't even know, maybe it was Instagram. It was like an interview thing. And y'all know those drumstick ice creams? I be loving them things. They were talking about how they don't put real ice cream in them. People were like doing these experiments where they leave the cone out for 24 hours in room temperature and they don't even melt. Like, bro, why they gotta mess with my drumsticks? They messing with the wrong thing. If they want to make me big mad, mess with my drumsticks. Now I can't even get them without worrying about eating some dang fake ice cream. I know, they've been out for years. Oh, you saying they, okay, it's all BS? They need to quit putting that shit on my For You page. They need to go on. I need to quit believing everything I see on there. It be making me paranoid. I know. You know what? You saying like your body knows what to feed it. I want to know what in the hell is the reason why I crave this damn water all the time. This aloe water. What the hell, mate? When I'm saying I crave it, it's like it don't have caffeine in it. But if I run out and I just start drinking regular water, like it's okay. But after a few days, I be seriously needing me some aloe water, so I just give up the fight. Yes, it is, Miss Bikini. If you have any CVS stores around you, that's where I get all mine. It's the only store. They have like the 50-ounce ones like this and the little bottles. Mark said we poop it out anyway, so it's all good. But you should, if you have CVS's, you should literally, you're in the boonies. I be driving 45 minutes to go get aloe water. I should be ashamed. Like if the CVS that's 15 minutes away doesn't have it, like they're out of stock, I'd be like, y'all know when y'all gonna get some? And they won't know. And I will drive 45 minutes to go get it. And every time I go online to Walmart.com to order it, I place the order and it says it's on the way, and then they'll refund my money and say it's out of stock. I hope so, Ann, because Lord, I gotta drink a lot of it. You get it at the Dollar Tree, okay. Yeah, everybody buys it all up. All right, y'all, I think I'm about to go. Thank y'all for listening to me all this time. I hope I can get my camera. Like, I don't even know if it matters to y'all if I have the camera on the book. If it don't, I might just start doing my regular live and just reading the book to y'all. The amount of food they say is bad for us is crazy, but some people be smoking cigarettes till they die. And that's true, Mark. What's going on inside of you probably has a lot to do with what happens to you. Yes, and I be clearing out all these shelves. They never have it in stock. They know me as the lady who wants the aloe water. At the 3 CVS's around me, they all know me. Only argument I can say is at least it ain't crack or nothing. Like, they be knowing, like, if they only have like 3 or 4 on the shelf and I go up to the register and I go to check out, she'd be like, oh, we got another box in on the truck last night. Would you like me to go to the back and get it? It'll have like a dozen in it. I'm like, yes, ma'am, thank you. See, Mark, your grandma freaking died at 94. We just need to focus on being happy and just eat whatever the hell we eat.
Does this look bad?
No, it's cute.
Like, does it look like it was on Pinterest?
It's cute.
Okay.
Hey, Ninja. I was reading this book by Joe Dispenza. And I have a playlist on my channel, so I'm going to put all the lives where I read in there. So if you ever get bored and you want to listen to, like, a book, it will be My Big Mouth. I do sometimes talk because I can't shut up, but then I read some more. Emmy said, hey. Ann said, hey, Emmy.
Hey, friend.
She said, hey, friend. Mark said, hey, Emmy.
Hi, friend.
She said, hey, friend. Hey, actions. They a mess, Ninja. They a mess. I saw you on live the other day, actions. You was like doing something to this horse's foot. And if I'd have been you, I'd have been scared he was going to kick me in the nose. Because you was like all up in his foot. And he was just chilling. I was thinking any moment he could kick you dead in the nose. You thought about reading a book live? You was cleaning its feet. Hell no. Marley would be scared to clean his feet. I'm going to just say, you a man's man. And I'm a chicken man. They don't kick. I'm too skittish. What book you want to read on here?
Did you say you're too skitty?
I said I'm too skittish to clean a horse's foot.
Oh.
Oh, because they're so well trained. I got you. Ninja already know if I had to clean that horse's toe, he would have the cruddiest toes in America. That poor horse be ready to get away from me. That horse would be saying I gave him athlete's foot. This book I got, Actions, is like about like how your brain works and stuff, trying to create different like changes in your life by changing the way you think. And so probably you could find a book that's related to anything you talk about on your channel. So that way, hopefully your subscribers that are already following you would want to listen to it. My mom be griping at my toes when I was on my life, so I got them done. Your mama was telling you your toes was crusty, Miss Bikini. Women, oh, I got a good rhyme. Women with crusty toes can't be successful hoes. Oh, I need to cut this part out. I get delirious when I don't, like when I work a lot of hours in a row at work. And then I come home, I get goofier than normal goofy. Women with crusty toes can't be successful hoes. Emmy, you changing again?
No, I left my clothes in here.
She trying to get her Me Too actions. Don't feel bad. It's just part of being a human on this planet. Or with hoes. Can't be successful with hoes with crusty toes.
I left my jammies.
Okay. All right, y'all. I'm about to get off of here. Are you going to go live, Mark?
Didn't Mark have somebody with 3 toes?
6 toes.
6 toes.
6-toe hoe. But then they can be
Yeah,
on the
that's what I
poles.
read
Just
about.
borrow Marky's. Okay, Marky's gonna go live, so we can go in his room and I go get my blankie. It's the best part of the day when you already cook food, you already took a shower, and you got your blankie. Bruh, y'all don't know the feeling is nothing like it. Click on him, actions. How do I share it? He's right there, Marky Mark. He has the little blue wrench. And you know how to put the link in there? Because you know I don't know how. Shit. Let me check it. Can you click on his name? You're not blue, so you can't. Shit. Let me do some figuring over here. I'm going to see if I can do it. I done pinned it. Oops. Miss Bikini just put his username in their actions. I done pinned him on the thing. You know what I'm going to do, actions? I'll go to his channel and get the link when I hit in the live. And whatever community tab you have on your, like the last post on your community tab, I'll comment on there with it. Okay, I love y'all. I'm about to go do that. And then I'm going to go get my blankie. I hope y'all have a good night and a good day tomorrow, okay? All right, love y'all. Bye.